the embassy. I spoke with some folks there. They said that folks are already packing up and getting ready to leave. That is a pretty big step in some of the safety concerns that are facing Americans and the embassy here in Lebanon, even though the American embassy here has been saying now for months, really ever since the beginning of the war, all the way back on October 7th or October 8th, the day after when Hezbollah first started firing at Israel. And really it just shows that the embassy is expecting something big that could be coming. At the same time, we did hear from Benjamin Netanyahu in his first comments since Hassan Nasrallah was killed and since he's returned from the United States, a trip to the United Nations General Assembly that he cut short. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister.
I gave the instruction, and Nasrallah is no longer with us. His killing brings closer the return of our people in the north to their homes, and also the return of the hostages from the south, because as Sinwar sees that Nasrallah won't come to his rescue, this increases the chances for our hostages going back.
But look, Alex, now we have Hezbollah, one of the most powerful militant forces in the Middle East. It is now leaderless. It is now badly damaged. But some would say it's more dangerous than ever.
I understand that. Okay, Matt Bradley, thank you so much from Beirut. We appreciate that. Ali Rafa is joining us from the White House. So, Ali, welcome to you. I understand the president convened a call with Vice President Harris as well as his national security team. What do we know about that call, as well as the response from the president and vice president?
Yeah, Alex, we received an update from the White House in just the last hour saying that today President Biden convened a call with Vice President Harris as well as his national security team to talk about the aftermath of this news, the death of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. They talked about the situation in the Middle East. They talked about a review of the status of the U.S.'s military posture in the region that we already know as of yesterday had been enhanced in this area. And they also discussed what the White House is saying are these ongoing diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions in this region. You'll remember the latest effort just a few days ago when the U.S. and several other countries introduced this proposal for a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon that ended up failing after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu rejected that deal. We also are hearing reaction from the president and vice president separately in statements today. The president saying it is, quote, Nasrallah's death is, quote, a measure of justice for his many victims, including thousands of Americans, Israelis, and Lebanese civilians. The vice president echoing that sentiment and adding, quote, we've been working on a diplomatic solution along the Israel-Lebanon border so that people can safely return home on both sides of that border. Diplomacy remains the best path forward to protect civilians and achieve lasting stability in the region. And Alex, we've talked about that stability being a major concern for the Biden administration over the last almost a year now, and even more so in the wake of this news, especially as we continue to see these strikes by the IDF continue in Lebanon, exactly what the White House has been trying to avoid for months now. But again, in that statement from the president, from the vice president, they're saying that they are hopeful that a diplomatic solution can still be reached, not only in this conflict between Israel and Lebanon, but also a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, Alex.
We shall see. Thank you very much, Ali Rafa from the White House. So joining me right now, Mark Polymeropoulos, former CIA agent and MSNBC national security and intelligence analyst, and Hagar Shamali, former spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the UN. Welcome to you both. Give me a sense, Mark, how likely it is that this conflict will escalate to an all-out regional war following the death of Hezbollah's leader, because I remind you, even before this happened, I asked you last Sunday if actions already taken would point in hindsight as being the start of a broader war. And then you have this.
Well, I think when you asked me that last week, Alex, I said escalate. The Israelis are going to escalate to de-escalate. I think it turned to escalate to obliterate to then de-escalate. And I say that not being trying to be funny.
But I get it, yeah.
Right. But look, this is an extraordinary development. Hezbollah has been battered. You know, they have their communications has been compromised. Their leadership has been wiped out. Their operatives have been taken off the battlefield. Their weapons stocks and caches are being dismantled. And so there is a question, and I don't think we know the answer, is, how much has this degraded their ability to strike back at Israel? And this is also why you see the Israelis announcing that they're going to continue. They believe they have momentum. But at the end of the day, I do think the solution is diplomatic, and we will get to that at some point. Because what we don't want to see is, of course, I think an Israeli ground offensive into southern Lebanon. The question is, can Israel achieve its goals which of course, are returning their 70,000 citizens to the north with a diplomatic agreement with in essence, the Lebanese government forcing in some way Hezbollah to pull back to the Litani River. That's Mark, the big question. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there in all-out war yet.
Hang on, though. How do you have a diplomatic agreement if you have the head of Hezbollah killed? I mean, who steps into the void to negotiate that?
Well, there's going to be a successor named probably very shortly, and there's going to, the Lebanese government have somewhat, not really much control, but they have some influence. That's who we're negotiating with, in fact, these agreements. And the real question then goes back to Iran as well. I know we're jumping around. What does Iran want to do? Do they want to see their proxy absolutely destroyed as well? Because after all, Hezbollah, in effect, is an aircraft carrier. It's a forward base for Iran. That's their deterrence in stopping Israel from conducting a nuclear strike on Iranian facilities. So Iran does not want to see Hezbollah totally destroyed. There is some hope for a diplomatic solution here. I do see that. I don't think we're there yet to an all-out war. I really don't.
So, Hagar, if, and again, big if, this does escalate, what role will the U.S. play? Because officials here have said they do not want a war, but if it happens, would the White House provide additional support to Israel on top of what it's already given for the Hamas conflict?
Well, sure. I mean, the U.S. has already said numerous times publicly, and by the way, directly to Hezbollah over the summer, that they will stand with Israel. They'll defend Israel in the event of an escalation. But defending Israel probably looks like more of the same, right? More support for the Iron Dome, more funding for the Iron Dome, more help in intercepting missiles, whether they're coming from Hezbollah or they're coming perhaps from the Houthis, right, who might want to try and distract from the other side. And so I don't see why the U.S. wouldn't do that. The U.S. doesn't want to see an escalation. They've repeated that since October 7 itself, where that's the last thing they want. I think in the run up to an election, obviously, that's also the last thing that the Biden administration wants. But like Mark said, I don't think a full escalation is inevitable. I certainly don't expect Iran to get involved. Iran doesn't want to get involved. They would rather have their proxies do this for them. U.S. defense of Israel provides a very strong deterrent in that way. What I do expect, though, is something that probably lasts a bit longer than we're used to in this region. So perhaps a war of attrition where things will peak and then they'll go down again, and now you're at a peak. But the fact is that I find that Israel lately, the Netanyahu government, seems to be viewing the situation on the ground, especially with the way things have gone and gone with Hezbollah, who has been lobbing missiles at the north of Israel since October 8th, apparently around 8,000 missiles and drones. They view this as a chance to change the security threat.
What you're saying begs this question. What does Benjamin Netanyahu want ultimately?
Well, I don't think his end game is completely clear, but I do believe that he views the latest, that if you look at his actions and you look at what he is saying, he doesn't want a negotiation right now with Hezbollah. He slapped down the U.S. effort to put a proposal. And because I believe he views this as an opportunity not to return to the status quo of how things were before October 7, but to fundamentally change things on the ground vis-a-vis Hamas and Hezbollah and their military capabilities and the threats that they pose to Israel directly. So I don't think he has a vision of the day after. I think the only thing he wants is to completely decapitate and dismantle these terrorist groups as much as possible.
So if that's the goal, Mark, what do you look for to happen in the next few days? What ends this immediate incursion here?
Well, I think, first of all, the Israelis are going to continue. What they're doing right now is they're, in essence, hitting Hezbollah missiles and rockets. They're trying to stop any kind of Hezbollah retaliation. The big question will be, when Israel decides to kind of participate in this diplomatic process. The U.S. Clearly is pushing this, as is the international community. I think one of the things that will be important to see is the Iranian reaction. Does Iran actually agree to go to the negotiating table as well? Or do they then kind of climb up the escalatory ladder? So there is a lot of different pieces here. One last piece on this. I just want people to understand, viewers understand that, we're talking about Hassan Nasrallah, a terrorist who has a lot of U.S. blood on his hands. And so I think those statements from Vice President Harris and President Biden were absolutely appropriate. Those people like me and my old world of counterterrorism, no one's shedding any tears. This is a bad individual, and justice was served.
30 years of his time with his fiery rhetoric and actions. All right. I want to thank you both so much, Mark Polymeropoulos and Hagar Shamali. Meantime, I'm Alex Witt with this breaking news coverage. We are going to continue to follow developments as they happen. But after a break, we're going to go back to our regular programming with Ari Melber and the Beat Weekend. Stay tuned for that. And I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Introducing Allison's Black Psoriasis. She thinks her flaky gray patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis. Over here. Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, Girls' Day Out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
At Avocado, how you sleep matters. Whether you crave indulgent luxury, a naturally cool night's sleep, ergonomic back support, or all of the above, sleep is never a one-size-fits-all at Avocado. And because your health and our planet is what matters most to us, Avocado's certified organic mattresses are made with natural and renewable materials. Discover why Avocado is one of the highest-rated mattresses in America. Visit our stores or your local retailer or shop online at avocadomattress.com.
This is my first human, and I'm so excited.
USA Scare Tactics has everyone screaming.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
This show brings people to tears.
I'm gonna cry.
And leaves them wanting more.
My heart just stopped.
A reboot by Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Productions of the most outrageous prank show of a generation. But don't take our word for it.
I peed a little.
USA Scare Tactics. Series premiere Friday at 10. Set your DVR.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Getting a deal on car insurance from Insurify is super easy, and all you need is a phone and a finger. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. It's just like searching for a flight or hotel online. Enter your car information and Insurify does the rest. Go to Insurify and save today.
Check if you're overpaying for car insurance. Go to Insurify.com.
At Bombas, we make the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. So comfortable, you'll wish you had more. Visit bombas.com and get 20% off your first order.
BK Royal Crispy Wraps. Eat it with the meal or have it as a snack. Only $2.99. It's a hunger hack and it fits in one hand. At BK, have it your way.
A lot of us have been misguided into believing that our vote doesn't matter. We have to let our voices be heard.
It's a time of opportunity, but also of hope.
Wow, this is so exciting.
This is the only time we've ever talked about it.